Hey, everybody. Can you guys hear me and see me okay? I'm in a different location, and the glare, no matter what I do, that's why I was late. The glare, no matter what I do, is on my glasses. So, whatever. But I'm assuming you guys can hear me and see me okay. A secret location? No, it's my craft room. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. So I'm assuming you guys can hear me and see me okay. Okay, thank you, Holman's Homestead. All right. Hello, Jamie's Country Living. Hello, New York Gal, Florida Heart. Holman's Homestead. Hello. Hello, Milk and Honey Heritage Farms. Hello, Craig and Debbie. Hey, River Rat. First time you're early. Good job. No worries. Hey, Blue. Hey, Lantern Creek. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Hey, Farm Fresh. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, Suburban Hillbilly. Good to see you all. Hey, Our Cabin in the Woods. So, yeah, the glare is a nightmare tonight because I am not in the other room where I usually do my lives. And the lighting is just awful and glary. Hey, Broke Cowgirl. Hey, Angie, Our Cabin in the Woods. So let's just put up with that tonight. And apparently I should have looked in the mirror before I got online. Hey, the Cow Emporium. Thank you, Farm Fresh. Yeah, us too. Us too. Yeah, doing the house for us is a big deal because typically we do very much so the large stuff when we move in because we try not to spend a lot on houses. And we look at good structure. That's really what we do. And so usually when we move in, we do windows, doors, like, all the stuff you want in a cold climate, right? You don't want drafts and all that thing. So we never get to the pretty stuff. And then we end up moving, So we were lucky that two homes we moved into in North Carolina were all redone before we got them. But typically we just live with the house the way it is and, keep it neat. We don't live like animals or anything, but we just don't worry about that stuff. And so I told Ryan tonight that the living room feels like somebody else's house. I feel like I'm visiting somebody's house because it's so weird for us to have redone that. And it's all because friends were like, I got the flooring. So it was a good deal. So it was a good push. So let's see who's here tonight. I know Lisa Colovi is running late, she said. So we'll have a mod here soon. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Alicia. I appreciate it. I think I covered everybody. So yeah, so it's coming along. I got my rug today, so I was really excited to get that ruggable, which is one of those ones where you wash the rug on top of the pad versus the entire rug. And with pets and living in our home, that's definitely what we wanted. So real excited about it and stuff. So that leaves our kitchen, which is a mismatched nightmare of cabinetry, hardware, countertops. So filming in my kitchen has always been strategic because of the nightmare it is, but we clean it up, we use it. That'll be for another year. We're not doing that this year. Too much money for that. So anyway, so what I wanted to talk about tonight is community sufficiency, right? We talk a lot about self-sufficiency, and I myself, when we started the channel, was our journey to self-sufficiency. And one of the things that I learned is that we cannot be 100% self-sufficient. Sounds like a no-brainer, but right, we have all those high intentions of increasing our self-sufficiency, but truly becoming 100% self-sufficient on 2 acres is not going to happen. So before we dive into that, I wanted to answer Alicia's question. So a ruggable is this: you buy the padding system the first time you buy the rug, meaning, okay, let me go back. Hey, little Frenchie, good to see you, Anne. So, when you buy a Ruggable, you get a pad system and you get a cover. The cover is useless without the pad. You have to have both. They're a little bit more money up front. However, you're able to remove the cover and change it, or you can remove the cover and wash it. You can't dry it, but you can wash it and hang it out on the line. So you actually get a rug that's clean versus a carpet, if that makes sense, or having to do professional cleaning. So with pets in the house, for example, Yogi one time, let's just say, got sick out of both ends and ruined an area rug that we had. And you can't just scrub them clean, and it didn't go well. So anyway, so back to the I hope that all made sense for you, Alicia. So again, wanted to talk about community sufficiency, and I looked up an article. There's a few articles I looked up, and I have to be honest, they were from some larger um one's I think both were YouTubers, and I really didn't care for the two, so I didn't use their articles. So I went with let me see here. Hey, Tina Ladybug. So I went with the Cornell Cooperative Extension just because they had some information, but it's a big thing, and I just wanted to talk about it because I think it's really important. So let me see here. Let me get down to where I was. Oh, apparently I'm on the wrong. Bear with me. There we go. So here they talk about homesteading and self-sufficiency, and they say whether you're on a tenth of an acre or 100 acres, there's numerous ways to be self-sufficient and establish your own homestead. And obviously, homesteading by definition is a lifestyle of self-sufficiency, characterized by subsistence agriculture, home food preservation, may also involve the small-scale production of textiles, clothing, craft work for household use or sale. And being more sufficient means living within your economic means, which may require a new mindset regarding your definition of success. Now, when it comes to that, I can automatically say we've had that mind shift. I'm just going to remove that. Let me just go to the comments real quick. Hey, Just a Farm Girl. Hey, Rise and Swine. Hope you're all doing well. Rise and Swine, I hope you're staying safe out there. So that's why I wanted to talk about this, because like if you talk about the fact where it says homesteading by definition is a lifestyle of self-sufficiency and what it's characterized by, I think a lot of us can say we are doing that, right? But the reality of it is we are not self-sufficient from the system, if that makes sense. So I had a couple questions for you guys, and I kind of put them up here to make it easier. So for you guys, what is community sufficiency? I'm just curious what your take on it is. Love you too, Carla. Thanks for being here, living a rogue life. So yeah, so tell me what you think about when you hear the words community sufficiency. What are you thinking about? And while I'm waiting, yes, Red, it does stay in place. We have a very heavy couch, and we put the cover down on the rug, and we ended up putting gliders under the heavy couch because it's got recliners on the end, and we slid it back and the cover didn't move because it attaches. In fact, the rug attached to the pad and we had trouble pulling it off again. So I hope that helps. All right, so we've got neighbors helping neighbors. Suburban Hillbilly said that. Farm Fresh says, I envision schools. Let me put that up there. Schools, nursing homes, retirement homes, hospitals, daycare, prisons, Everyone utilizing rainwater, rooftop gardens, farm animals, hunting, fishing, community trade, gathering. Neat. Bartering. Yep. Blue said having a support network around you, people you can trust who have different skills, who you can help out and they can help you. In my location, everyone growing and taking care of their things, but would like a team. Yeah, Heather. Yep, it absolutely is, Annette. Definitely bartering, but more than we think of just bartering. But yes, just a farm girl. We all help each other or trade with one another. Yep. Neighbors that think the same as us. Absolutely. So a lot of you guys, AKA Little House on the Prairie. Yep. Absolutely. Hey, Grape Jams, welcome. So yeah, it's all of the above, right? Because here's the reality. So and this is what I had put down. So if relying on a community of like-minded people who share knowledge and skills you do not have or can provide you with items you cannot grow or raise for one reason or another. So, for example, I do really well raising meat chickens and you really struggle with raising meat chickens. Not that that's a great example, but you get my point. I may raise meat chickens for you, or I may teach you the skills how to raise meat chickens so you can do it yourself. And I'm sharing my skills and building that community. Or I'm raising meat chickens to barter with you for vegetables that I can't grow. Or maybe it's I don't have enough room for sheep, but the sheep farm down the road has enough. And I'm going to barter with them meat chickens for fiber, that kind of thing. So that's where you're relying on a community. And so we're still avoiding the system, but you're sharing the skills and the knowledge, and there's a lot of benefits to it for you because that's how we all learn and grow. So a lot of us talk about, hey, hey, I've got this and you've got that. I don't have enough land to have beef, but I can certainly raise 100 chickens for you, that kind of thing. Or we come to the YouTube community. A lot of us in the YouTube community learn from each other. I know I've learned from a lot of people, and some people have said they've learned from me. So it's just sharing things. And it's even when you're sharing a video that talks about, and I hate to go back to the scrotal hernias, but when you talk about something like that, you're helping somebody. Or when Waylon was sick and he had the worms, and I told you how we found it, right? A lot of people said to me, we didn't think to look at his manure to find the problem. For us, the manure indicated what the issue was. Does that make sense? I just want to go back to the comments because I'm missing a bunch. So I'm just going to put that on the screen while I go back because I'm having to go back and forth a bunch. So Angie at Our Cabin in the Woods said, everyone participated with a different necessity, so all needs met. One does food, one does something else, group work. Yep. Hey, Garden State so-and-so, glad to see you here. Grape Jam said, protecting each other together, barter with like-minded individuals. Riverette said, I buy some meat from Butcher Box, but I found a local farm that I can buy half a cow. Absolutely. Absolutely. Or like Carla says, I can weld, but I can't grow potatoes. So you can barter welding for growing potatoes, for getting potatoes, excuse me. Hey, SD Mountain Man, thanks for being here. The proof was in his pudding. Yeah. Yep. Hey, Tina, life in the Piedmont. Community is so important. Absolutely. Absolutely, it is. Sharing knowledge is super important. Heather at Milk and Honey, what is potlatch? You said that's something you've been wanting to do. I don't know what that is. But for trading, I'm going to wait till you answer that. So again, I've got, fiber for making clothing, vegetables, we can't grow enough to sustain us year round. Or you want to limit wear and tear on your land. That's a huge thing, right? I could have a ton of kuni pigs. I could have more than 6, but they're going to do a lot of wear and tear on our land. And so that's why I don't have them. And yes, Angie, I'm so glad there's no worms on your poop. Angie. Thanks, guys. Yes, hit the like button. I appreciate the reminder. Alicia said something I wanted to go back to. Potlatch. Oh no, wait. Does anyone experience this community connection in their area, like talk to farmers at farmers markets? I do. I actually go to a fiber arts group with a sheep farmer who's at our farmers market, and I buy lamb from her and I buy fiber from her and yarn. I want to talk to her about spinning because obviously I can't have a herd of sheep, but I may buy fiber from her to learn spinning, see if I like it. Yep, community over competition. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's how do we foster these connections? So tell me some of the ways that you foster these connections because these connections are huge. Hey, budget preppers, hope you're doing well. So I will always refer to my mentorship, right? Because my pig mentors are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. And before last year, I never met them. However, they have a beautiful mindset. Rebecca and Josh are all about helping people for free. Okay. Obviously, within reason, you want to be respectful of their time. But when I got talking to Rebecca and Josh about the house pigs and about the kuni pigs because I wanted to learn more about them, and because they were so gracious in responding to my questions, because as we know, Google is a nightmare. The reality of it is there's a lot of misinformation out there. And especially when you're raising a heritage pig like the kunis compared to a commercial hog, there's a lot of information out there for pigs in general. Well, you have potbelly pigs, you have kuni pigs, and you have commercial breeds. There are differences. So you have to watch out for that. Well, Rebecca had graciously offered and helped me, and she was the one who told me how I could get Sherman home because, you do have dumb questions like, can he go in the back of a truck, right? Because I don't have a trailer. But he was a piglet. Piglets can't go in the back of a truck if it's cold out. I was driving a long time. So silly things like that were really, really helpful. When I would look at Google, even to this day, I'll look at Google, the worst case scenario comes up. And I have Rebecca to ground me and say, no, just watch it. Everything's fine. Right. So sometimes too much information is a bad thing. Hey, my wife found out my neighbor I jacked up a few years ago said he stopped by his shooting range. Okay. My local farmer, I get my beef from, we trade off. And even when their freezer went, they couldn't sell the meat and asked me if I would want some. Awesome. Yeah, you guys, I've wanted to learn spinning. It's just, Ryan used to work on a sheep farm when he was in high school into his young adulthood. And he told me you might want to get I forget what it's called, but you might want to get it after it's been washed and it's ready to spin. It's pretty nasty. Let's see. Hey, CB, hope you're doing well, Hugo Homestead. We give our extras we have to the community cupboard deal. Absolutely. Same here. Hey, Canadian Family Life. Hope you're doing well, Tiffany. We get this a lot in the primate community, which is where my main channel is and why we started a channel in the first place. Absolutely. Hey, Lisa Colovi. Yeah, lots of misinformation, lots of bad information. Have a good evening, Tina, Life in the Piedmont. Thanks for jumping in. And grape jams, I agree with you. It's like Googling your symptoms. Don't do it. Just want to get through the question. If you're willing to take the wool as it is, you can get it for free from the farmers here. Otherwise, they end up just burning it. Oh, what a waste. I would love to use it for mulching my garden. I've heard it's really good for mulching the garden. Gotcha. So yeah, so I mean, I won't get it free. I would have to pay for it, of course. Um, but I think that that's really important, right? To learn all those skills, to have a mentor when it comes to certain things. So that's why I say when you're sharing skills with others, you need to know this. Oh, this is so true right here. I know people who have done that. And the budget preppers, you're so spot on. Exactly. It's just like the pigs are a commitment, right? The pigs are a commitment. They can live, 15, 20 years. Absolutely. And that's the thing. You have to be able to rely on somebody and get your information. I'm one of those people like I researched cooney pigs for a long time before we got them. That's what I did. Right? Because I didn't want to make the commitment. And that was part of the problem I had with Sherman. I felt like when we parted with Sherman, now I know he's livestock. He's in a great place. He's living a great life. He's loved. But I take my commitment seriously to the animals that I take on, right? And Sherman, especially being a boar that was intact, it's not as easy from a farming standpoint to say, okay, I'm going to butcher him because I couldn't. What if the taint was an issue? It would have been a waste of his life, and that's disrespectful, right? So we found an opportunity, we took advantage of it. But again, it goes right back to community sufficiency because that person was able to help us, right? We were able to help them, they were able to help us. Same thing with the turkeys because our turkeys went to them as well. Does that all make sense? Hey, suburban homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. Hope you're doing well, Sandy. I'm going to go back to. We have a spinning wheel in the living room waiting for Tony. All this talk of eco-friendly, et cetera, and one of our best commodities, the bottom has dropped out of the market unless you're an artisan who cleans and preps the wool to roving or artisan threads. Oh, that's so sad. So sad. To start spinning wool. Well, Tony, you better start spinning wool. Yeah, exactly, Scott. It's like you got to have, raise an animal for a purpose, like Red said, or, like I have Norman. Well, he's serving a purpose, believe it or not. He's a companion to my boar. He is serving a purpose. And that's why we parted with Sherman, right? Because there were too many males. We had to cut it somewhere. I did want a pet, so that was a sacrifice that we made. But he's at least serving a purpose. Although Ryan is still trying to get me to butcher him, but not happening yet. But like when it comes to monkeys, right? And I know that the budget preppers are very passionate about that subject. Like um they talked about, the reason for their main channel. I mean, Monkeys, I know people eat them, and I'm not trying to be offensive to you, but I mean, what would be the purpose? A lot of the people get them for pets, but you gotta commit to them. Hey, Nanya, good to see you, Jake. So, definitely, I think it's really important to be reliable on the community around you, which is really important. Um, so let's see here. I wanted to look what else I had. So, what I want to hear from you guys is what are some ways being community sufficient could benefit your specific homestead? I know for us, it's vegetables. Vegetables could be super handy for us. Hey, Ariella. Riverette says all animals have to have one or two friends with them. Nobody wants to be alone. Yeah, most are herd animals. So that's the way it goes. And I know for with Norman, right? Cooney pigs are very social. So a boar being by himself is not always the greatest. And I know that from experience when we got Sherman. Sherman was night and day when we put Gran in there with him as a piglet, you know? Absolutely, there is a purpose. I just say that Norman has a purpose, but he is a pet, but he does serve a purpose. But I agree, everybody else on my 2 acres serves a purpose. Our monkey is serving his purpose. My husband and I wouldn't be on social media at all if it was not for having Ollie. He's forced us to be social and helps our mental. That's really cool. Good for you guys. Blue said pretty much everything for us except the small amount of food we can grow ourselves, we are reliant on others. Yeah, absolutely. Also, don't have room for compost, so we have a compost guy who makes compost using local scraps from greengrocers and cafe scraps. That's awesome. That's awesome. SD Mountain Man, that's my wife's problem. Pets. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, just like the people who get macaw parrots that live for 50 years or more, you have to have a plan for your animals if you're no longer around. Absolutely. We have a plan for ours. Where it gets touch and go is if both of us die. But the people who are responsible for handling things know what they need to do because I've asked that they go to a sanctuary, the pigs, if possible. Hey Annette, good morning, our urban homestead. Let's see. I have grown lots of vegetables, and with the help of all of you, I'm learning how to preserve it. That's awesome, Red. Only time I get to eat anything is if I butcher it or it dies. Yeah. No, Scott, no, Ryan's trying to tell me that with Norman. He's like, how about we keep Waylon and we butcher Norman? And I'm like, no. Because Waylon is just like his daddy, Sherman. He really is. We're definitely on the hunt for more land and a house with a basement. Yep. Ugh. We had gone back and forth looking for land, and we gave up. It was just too pricey. And the thought of starting over again. So I think unless I win the lottery, we're staying on 2 acres and we'll just continue to do what we're here. Because one of the things for us is we've got all our infrastructure in place, and now the infrastructure, some of it needs to be repaired. Like we got that grant from 4 farmers to be able to do the fencing repairs, which we need because of the ground erosion. And so we'll do that in the spring. But, to start all over again, I couldn't imagine because we spent a good 2.5, 3 years busting it out. Heather Milk and Honey says we grow veggies, fruit, cows, chickens, compost. Most we do ourselves. That's awesome. 50-year-old ladies wanna get a monkey, and I'm like, "Please, please don't." Yeah. No kidding. Oh, Scott, I'm glad you're doing the survival seeds. Yeah, guys, I we had to step back from it just because 'cause I'm a little overwhelmed at the moment. So I haven't done videos because 'cause we've been working on the house. But check out, the Vineyard Chicks Survival Seeds 2024 collab. It's really cool. Angie said ours is vegetables, pigs for meat. We have goats for milk. Chunky husband if all else fails. Oh my gosh. I keep getting my lottery tickets for land. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. I saw enough of monkeys when I lived in Southeast Asia. No kidding, Ariella. You would love 2 acres, Sandy? That's awesome. I get it. I can't believe what you do. Yeah, it's super expensive, Scott. It's super crazy. And it's super expensive for raw land, let alone with a house. Heather's working on saving for a high tunnel. That's great. Tony at our cabin in the woods said, "Thanks, hon." Nothing growing in our garden at the moment. Way too hot. Today is day 4 with temps over 40 plus degrees Celsius. So I always have to calculate. Don't say anything. Let me look here. So I think that's over 100, isn't it? Celsius to Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's 104 plus. Okay. Wow, that's hot. Stay cool in it. Come to Alberta. I would love to. I would love to live near you. I really would, you guys. Hey, Brampton Gardener. Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. Sandy is also doing the Seed Survival Collab. Yeah, I wanted to do it, but there was a part of me that doesn't want to use my limited space for something that might not do well. Because I'm really trying to hone in this year, and then I'm just a little overwhelmed with what we've got going on. Angie, you're killing Natasha over at the Budget Prepper. She said chunky husband. She's died on that. Tiffany at Canadian Family Life is also doing that. And Blue Self Reliance is doing that. Ariella said lottery tickets for land in Maine. Oh, love Maine. Love Maine. We had originally talked about retiring to Maine. And then we moved to South Dakota. My HOA is killing me. I live surrounded by conservation and minimal neighbors. Nobody has a problem with what I want to do. Yeah. HOAs are hard. HOAs are very, very hard. Anywhere that they tell you what you can and cannot do with your land is very hard. Especially when you go to get critters. Yeah, no kidding, Scott. You got to look in the off season too, SD Mountain Man, because once tourism hits, the prices are even worse. Hope I didn't miss anybody in the chat. I'm just trying to get caught up because I'm really far behind. Yep, time is money and money is time, and the world is in a weird place right now. Yep. So Tony, what you're saying about the property next to you, there is a plan for that if it's possible. It depends on what happens there. I don't think there are partial sun tomatoes, Alicia. 11 acres, all woods except about 3 acres. The rest has extinct fern and can't be disturbed. Ooh, that's hard. Yes, Heather, sharing our knowledge we do have with others as we can is so important. So earlier I talked about Earlier, I talked about having a pig mentor, right? And so, why was that important to me? Because it helped me to cut through all the garbage and it helped me to learn exactly what I needed to do. And it was from somebody who had the experience raising the breed. And so I've built that community up, and I do have several people. However, there's one I solely trust with all my heart and all my being because she has my best interest. So that's why I think that's real important. So one of the things that I try to do, and one of the things that I've tried to do on Instagram is when people reach out to me and they have questions about the pigs or they have questions about meat chickens, meat turkeys, pheasants, I try to give them that answer and explain to them in the same way that my mentors explained to me, because I think that's really important, is to give that knowledge back to somebody. So let's see. Okay, I'm going to skip some of these real quick just because I'm so far behind. So, farm fresh, if the tomatoes can have 6 to 8 hours of sun, especially if they are morning hours, they'll produce very well. And that is coming from a master gardener. I want to expand our veggie garden and get rid of the lawn. Produce from the grocery store. Produce from the grocery stores is hardly fresh. Let me tell you something about the grocery stores that I have been noticing lately, and I'm so irritated. We buy frozen vegetables for the most part. We have canned, but we buy frozen for the most part if it's not from our land. And so one of the things that we have noticed is the amount of quality, no, the quality that has reduced, like the quality control that has reduced in the packaging. We bought cauliflower and we're getting these, the green leaves on the bottom of the head of cauliflower. Now it's all cut up into the heads, but we're getting brown pieces in the package. We're getting bad green beans in there, and it's just so maddening. Does she make videos? I apologize, Heather. I'm so far behind. I don't know who you're talking about. Are you talking about my pig mentor? She does a lot more on Instagram, on her blog, which is halbertfarm.com. And she does live streams. They stream on Twitch with the pigs. Oh, thanks, Just a Farm Girl. I appreciate you. I'm glad you're working in the poultry houses, man. Whew. Always working, girl. That's why I love you. Remember, we never fail at things. We just learn never to do that again. That's right. And that's the way to learn, because you won't ever do it again. Yep, food goes bad so fast. Just a Farm Girl is a hard worker, and I'm so proud of all she has accomplished in her life. Yeah, they're shrinking here too, Blue. They're shrinking here too. I mean, it's crazy. It's just, with all that stuff going on. So again, like the community sufficiency, a lot of people think just barter right off the top of their head. And yes, it is bartering, but I think to me, I look at the skills. So, if you've been following me on Instagram, you know that I have been, and I did shorts on YouTube, I've been fighting to learn how to knit. And I finally am knitting a hat. It's really slow. I've gotten to the new part of the stitch, and then we worked on the living room. So it's just been kind of put to the side for a little bit till we get through that. But the reality of it is that's why I want to learn those skills, because if I've got t-shirts, I can cut into strips and I can knit stuff. I can make stuff. That's the reason why I learned sourdough, so I can make bread. Yeah, I can make it with yeast, but I want to learn how to make it without yeast. Same thing with butchering our own pigs. We want to butcher our own pigs this time. Whether we will or not, I don't know. The variable is because those darn cooney pigs are really stinking cute. And the drawback to them is you have them longer and they're really cute and social. But we do plan to butcher them ourselves. We've got everything. But I think it's really important. You do have skills, Brampton Gardner. Skill sharing is very important at the end of the day. We are only one person and can only learn so much and have enough hours in the day for so much. I think the other part to that, Blue, is some of us just don't do well with certain things, like and crochet and knitting is a good example, but like Rochelle at Brampton Gardner sews phenomenally. She is a phenomenal seamstress and can take patterns and grow these, sew these beautiful textiles. And I can sew and I could follow a pattern, but it's not going to be as beautiful as Rochelle's stuff. But I do know how to sew. I do know how to make things. So I'd be fine sewing. Exactly, Robin. Garden State so and so. I'm a quilter. I love to sew. I can. But you know what, Rochelle? I appreciate that so much, my friend. We got to get through it. We got to do it. You can We can't just keep raising them um for pets. And I think that's really important because I had no problem with Maggie and Winston. A lot of you don't know them. Maggie and Winston were our first pigs. And we took them to the processor and came home, had a good cry, and I was good to go. Um, but those Kuni pigs, man, they are just, So, let's see this. Oops, sorry. There we go. I'm hoping to have people out in our market garden to pick fresh veggies. Blah, 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 blah. Hoping to have people out in our market garden to pick fresh veggies and cook with them this summer. I'm hoping this closes a gap with cooking fresh food. That's amazing. I absolutely love that idea. What better way to show farm to table and give a true appreciation for fresh food? Oh, so you're going to do like a cooking class with it? I think that would be amazing. Oh, thanks, Heather. That's really sweet of him. Not bad considering I didn't look in the mirror before I got online here tonight. I just want to go back to what Scott said. Scott said, which is SD Mountain Man, I got chickens from one neighbor last summer. He had worked with an RN, lives down the road, and now the guy I never knew south, plus helped my close neighbor this winter. He brought over Skitter. That's awesome. That's awesome. I know, Blue. I'm right there with you. I can sew it. I'm looking at what Rochelle said. Wow, that's an awkward name to shorten. I love the name, the Cow Emporium. I think it's really cool. So I think it's just really important um to be sure that you're leaning on your community and learning all that you can, leaning on your community for not only skills but for knowledge. Knowledge is important as well. Sid does make everything look good. I agree. She's a beautiful, beautiful girl. Really proud of your daughter there. Well, let me take this off. Go back to comments. Um, and I think that's really important. And I know for me, and I've talked about it before, the Instagram community of homesteaders is such a valuable place. And I love that people love to reach out and ask questions. Silly thing. I posted about that ruggable. Now that's like nothing about homesteading, right? But I posted about that ruggable and I couldn't even keep up with all the messages I got. There were so many in a short amount of time that people were saying, I love mine. Just don't dry it. Make sure they tell you that because I don't think they told you that when I got mine. And They talked about how durable they are, how the stains come out. Like, to get a response about a rug, and yet when I posted about other things, I can tell you, and I when I posted about the pigs with the hernias, um, I can't tell you how many people reached out to me and said, I I need to ask you things. I need to ask you what you know. And it's just nice to be able to share that information. Same thing with what we learned about whaling, sharing the skills that we learn, because not everybody has access to a pig vet. You know, it's sort of like goats. If I was going to get goats, I know nothing about goats except that, that's really cool. But I know nothing about goats. I know nothing about cows. I've watched tons of cow videos and tons of goat videos, but you don't know anything about them until you have them. That's the biggest thing. My rug is an 8 by 10, 8 foot by 10 foot, because I needed to put it to protect the floor from the heavy couch. But they have all different sizes. But yeah, you're right, Blue. It's all about homesteading. Homesteading is all the things. Um, right there, this right here. Just a farm girl nailed it. If it wasn't for my two old timers, I never would have become a poultry farmer. I miss them every day. That is so, so true. Good night, Sandy. Have a great evening and hope you're doing well. Say hi to Joe. Um, that right there, valuable information. And just a farm girl has taught me so much. And it's just, you learn so much from the people, and you start to see who are the people that truly know what they're talking about versus some who may not, right? Because that's the reality. You only know what you know at the time, and some people don't know. And but at the time their intent is pure. Their knowledge and experience tells them this is a great idea. I've done that and said, "Hey, this is a great idea." And then got back and said, "Yeah, not a good idea." Good night, Rochelle. Thank you. Modified and whole. That would be great, Scott. Definitely. But yeah, I mean, the old timers are who's going to teach you. I know that I have gone to Just a Farm Girl. I have reached out to the Cow Emporium um, for things. In fact, my mentors had an issue, and I suggested they reach out to the Cow Emporium because I told them that I trusted them. So, I mean, that's exactly what you want, is you want to try to lean people in the direction of the people who are pretty realistic about what their experiences are, because let's face it, we know what we know at the time. Sheep. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just go back up to Red. Thanks, Just a Farm Girl. That was really good information. Red said, I'm making my garden more specific to what I can actually eat and preserve. That's what we're doing. We're doing ours to no fancy varieties. We are honing in on early varieties. We are doing basics that we can grow the most abundance of and preserve. Like loofah. I wanted to grow loofah in the worst way for my soap, and it's a waste of my time and space, which stinks. Sheep's, cows, and goats I know about to some extent as I grew up around them, though some of my knowledge is out of date from being 35 to 40 years ago. Exactly. Exactly. Yep, grow what you eat only. Absolutely. I would never grow something that I'm not going to eat, quite honestly. Never. There's a food hub about 1.5 hours away. That's awesome. That's awesome. When we lived outside of Asheville, North Carolina, and even when we lived up in Mitchell County in North Carolina, we had the farmers market there, and they had the restaurant side of it where you could buy wholesale produce, which was absolutely amazing. It was a huge hub. Yes, farm fresh, early varieties, like the shortest grow season. If it doesn't like last year we grew black strawberry tomatoes or something, I probably won't grow them. And we did 30 tomato plants. I'm gonna leave uh peppers off our garden this year because we've out of 4 years, we've had one good year. And even last year, we bought starts from the local nurseries and I grew from seed in February. And our peppers still took forever. So I'm not wasting my time on peppers. I will instead do 60 tomato plants, is what my plan is this year, because we got about 38 pounds of tomatoes from 30 plants, which is not a lot because you guys growing in a warmer climate, you got 30 like if I was in Connecticut growing 30 tomato plants, they would just be tomato, 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 not here, or not for me anyway. We're trying to build our soil up too. Uh, we grow the expensive things to buy because we're limited on space. Yes, absolutely. It's enough effort alone wasting on something, not enjoying it, right? Absolutely. Hey, my Aussie Gardening Kitchen. Thanks for being here, Daz. So yeah, so definitely it's all about community sufficiency. Like for example, you could go to Daz's channel and you can learn about propagating plants. You can go to the Cow Emporium and learn about all things calving and all things about cows. SD Mountain Man has got great information on, survival stuff as well as other things. And I think, that's the thing you want to think about is what can I learn from people? Follow accounts that you can learn from because that's what's important, right? Because you want to learn from people. Um, so I think that's really, really important. Anybody have any questions or anything they want to share? Because we're getting near the end. I just wanted to double check. I have a 4-foot pepper plant in my living room from last year. That's awesome. No problem. So yeah, I mean, I tried to bring my peppers in, and then there were these flies on them, and I could have treated it. And I was just like, no, I'm done. Like I've had to deal with gardening from February. I don't want to deal with it anymore. Yeah, pest pressure, Carla. You're absolutely, absolutely right. Let me just go back up to Holman's. Just now copy and pasted this. Beef will go up 70%, rice 56%, and chicken 39%. Eggs 36%. A typical family of 4 would have to spend an extra $1,300 per year to put food on the table. We went grocery shopping today because this project has had us in and out of Rapid way too much the last month. I like to go every other month, and it's not happening recently. But I got to tell you, it just it's scary to me. We have this conversation on the whole ride home. It's scary to me. Oh, good for you, Scott. I'm glad you got the class scheduled at the library. Yeah, they're just too far. They're too far, Angie, the meetups. Because I don't have anyone to watch the farm. So they're kind of far. I can do a day trip. That's about it. The meetups are just so far away. Um, they look like fun though. They look like a lot of fun. Trying to think what else I was gonna say. I'm doing a lot of ums. Beef is going to go higher. Yep, just a farm girl. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny because I tease Ryan because last year last year he was talking to a coworker or one of his employees. He turned around and he said, "Hey, tell the rancher, his name is Craig." We said, "Tell Craig we need a half of beef." And It was funny because the employee yelled over to Ryan and said, "He already had you down for a half a beef, so we have enough beef right now," like you wouldn't believe. And so I think we may do. Hopefully, we'll have the pigs harvested this year, and then maybe we'll do some beef. Not beef, excuse me. We'll do some pheasants again. Has anyone had success with Azure for groceries? So, while if anyone has any experience with Azure Standard, please type it in the chat so Red can get the right information. I have not, and I will tell you why. The Azure Standard pickup is an hour away, and I find Azure Standard to be very expensive. So I do not do Azure Standard, but I do Black Hills Bulk, and they are similar, but I realize that's not around everybody's area. So I looked, I think some of the big YouTubers were buying their chicken feed from Azure Standard, and I can't imagine how much they're paying a bag because I looked at a one bag price and it was a lot. Hey, Grace and Fire. Hope you're doing well, Glenda. Our local pub lets us order beef through him and we get it for a quarter of the price in the shops. That's awesome. And yeah, like Tony said, think about pressure canning meats also. That'll be one of the things that we will be doing. So we use our freezers and we start out with 3 freezers after all the harvests are done, and then we cut them down to 1, and that's because our goal is to be very mindful about what's in the freezer so nothing is in there longer. But I think we're going to end up having to do that with our turkeys because we still have turkeys in the freezer and we're not eating them, and we just are not looking forward to eating them. So they taste delicious. We're just not big turkey fans. I got a recipe for oxtail. Gonna try that out. Sounds like it is oily, but that's okay. Can adapt. Yeah, so I've heard that oxtail is oily. So one of the things that I've seen people do, not necessarily with oxtail, but with things that are oily, is they let them set a bit, or while they're cooking, they let it set, and you can put an ice cube in there to take the grease out. Or if you have one of those grease separating measuring cups, I have one of those where the spout goes all the way to the bottom so you can pour the gravy or juice out and it leaves the grease in the bottom. So what you can do, River Ad, is you can look up your local farmers market, and you can also look for community supported agriculture shares and see what they have in your area. You can also look at Azure Standard for items online without leaving the house, and then you would just have to go to the pickup section. So, for example, River Rat, what they would do is they would order and they say, okay, your delivery is February 26th at 3:00 at this meeting spot, and that's where you go. I know for ours with Black Hills Bulk, if you stupidly miss the pickup, which we've done twice, you then have to go the next day to Hot Springs and pick it up, which is about an hour south of us. So but definitely look at their prices online. Hey, my Alabama farm life. Get a meat order once a month from a local farmer, happy with it, and he delivers it to my door. Yum, yum. Oxtail stew is amazing. Use leaf lettuce to remove the extra oil from the surface. Blue says we can get half a piggy snout to tail for 100 pounds. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Glenda, Grace and Fire, I have perused Azure Standard online. I felt they were pricey compared to the items that I buy. When I look at buying stuff from my Black Hills Bulk, I found that to be a better deal, and I don't have to drive an hour one way and an hour one way back to do it. Before I couldn't do it because when I was working, their pickup time was like 10 in the morning. So Growing with Hudson uses it. Have a good weekend, Carla. Growing with Hudson uses it and loves it. A lot of people use it and love it. I think if you're buying at Whole Foods or some organic stuff like that, then that's different. I'm just skeptical about organic, um, even when I get it from my own bulk order. But I try to buy I buy a 5-pound block of cheddar cheese, a 5-pound block of mozzarella from my bulk order because the price is right. And then I take it home and I cut it up into chunks, vac seal it, and freeze it. And then I defrost it and shred it or chunk it up or however. So that's kind of how I use it. But I've seen people use it for chicken feed. No, no. I could not afford to feed my chickens on Azure standard. Last I looked, that was a couple years ago. Yeah, we don't have a Costco, we have a Sam's, but it's I mean, same thing, right? So, I think what you need to do is if you know your prices from your store and what the volume is or the weight is for your prices or how much per pound, you really have to do, to me, it's the age old supermarket game. I'm not saying one's bad and one's good. It's the supermarket game. You have to figure out which one has the best price that week, right? That's really what it's about. So yeah, like Blue was talking about bulk flour. I bought bulk unbleached flour is chemical free for my sourdough, and I bought it in a 50-pound bag. I bought a 50-pound bag of rice, I bought a 50-pound bag of black beans, and we split them up and all that stuff. And for us, I'm going to be honest, it's not always about the organic because I don't always trust the organic label because I've read so much about it. For me, it's living in a rural area, getting a deal on it. Doesn't have to be a killer deal, but getting it for a good price and then having it on hand because I don't want to have to run to the store because when the interstate shuts down due to snow, the shelves are going to be empty. So I want the food on hand. It's not even for SHTF. I have that part all set too, to the best I can anyway. But what I'm saying is it just, I'm not going to drive to a grocery store in Rapid City when I know that the shelves are empty because the interstate's been closed and it's not worth my, being blah, 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 blah. It's not worth me getting out on the roads and being unsafe, because I've really gotten to the point where I don't want to go to the big city anymore. So it's convenience. Angie is good on prices at different stores. That's a skill. I am not, except for I'm really good with the animal stuff at different stores, like feed and everything. Ryan is really good with the groceries. Always has been. That has not been my strong suit. But animal stuff, I can tell you about shaving prices. I can tell you about the hay that we've got. I can tell you about in this area because that's my thing. So I'm pretty good on that. And with the strikes on top of the food being left in trucks for days at customs. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Excuse me. The dairy has been thin at our stores, and when the snow hit, they ran out for a week. Oh, yeah. Yep. Absolutely. That's the one thing that I've noticed because, first time that the highway was actually closed was last year when we had the blizzards here, and they were closed for a long time. They had escorts, police escorts for the trucks to get them through because I-90 is getting all the trucks to the grocery stores, all the supplies. There was no chicken feed in stores when I went. And that's why they had police escorts. They got to get the stuff through. Amen, girl. Bulk foods, rarely shop at our local store. It's the value of the items I need. Doesn't have time at the drop of a dime. Amen. For me, I'm busy, but I have the time to go to the grocery store. But my local grocery store If I bought all my food in my local grocery store, it would cost me double to 3 times the price of what I spend in Walmart, and I'm not even buying meat. And that's because it's a tourist town, which is fine. I love living here, but it's expensive. So, gotta deal with it. All right, guys. Well, we are over our hour. I'm going to head on out. We're going to finish up our living room tomorrow or this weekend is my plan, hopefully. But I thank you all for coming. I appreciate y'all being here. Love to all you guys, and I hope you have a safe weekend. And if you've got any ideas for future topics you want to know about, drop me a message on Instagram or a comment, or drop me a comment on this video. I'd love to hear it. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care. Thanks. Bye.